my why has always been about having an exceptional experience for my guest as a restaurateur. Like I wanted my guests to have an exceptional experience when they came to my restaurant. Once I applied that to insurance and my agency, I mean, it was like something changed. Because then there was a why behind why we were selling insurance and why we were doing what we were doing, and protecting people's assets and making sure they have the coverages that they need and they have a great experience when they become one of our clients and our customers.
Hello, and welcome to The Next Chapter, the show where we dig into what's broken in our systems and how to fix it. I'm Kristin Guglielmo, agency owner turned strategist, helping agencies modernize without burnout. Today, I'm joined by Phillip Leesman from the Leesman Agency in Joplin, Missouri, a farmer's agent.
How are you?
Hi, Phillip. Welcome. Phillip is going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at how disconnected systems show up in his agency and what's working, what's not, and the changes he's most like to see. So, Phillip, before we dive into the tech side, tell us a little bit about your agency, how long you've been in business, the types of clients you serve, and your team setup.
So I've been in the insurance space now for about almost 3 years. So fairly new, if for all things considered, I think. So I left a long tenured restaurant career and decided I wanted to try something different and landed on insurance. So here we are. So it's a little different than what I'm used to. I started with Farmers as a protege. Farmers has a protege program where you kind of learn the ropes, things out. You work underneath an agent before you become an agent yourself. So it was a great program. I absolutely loved it. Did real well at that. The agent I was working kind of wanted out. She had some other aspirations. So I was in a position where I was able to purchase her business. And so I did that about 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years in January, so a little over a year and a half. And here we are. So there's me. I've got a licensed producer. Just hired one more. Just passed his PM. So
That's
really,
great.
yeah, we're super excited for him. So he's good friends with my son. Just graduated high school, and he said, "Hey, I'm really interested in financial service and insurance and things like that, and I'd love to start learning at a young age." And I said, "Well, let's go." He's going to college, so he's got to work part time with me. So there'll be 4 of us, 4 producers and myself. So one producer kind of plays double duty and does CSR work for me, like that. So that's the agency.
That's exciting, and I like how Farmers did that training where you're underneath someone, because that is such an important part of getting your confidence in insurance when you're first starting out.
100%.
I know my first 5 years, it takes a little while to get going and feeling confident in everything you're doing, because, you're learning. And I'm still learning every day, and it's been 32 years.
Yes, 100%. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah, every day, even with this program, as we have seen.
Right.
So, and I love that this young man is joining and learning about it, because it's a great career.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I told him, I was like, I wish I would have started when I was younger. I feel like I'm so far behind the curve right now, because most people my age has been in the business for at least 10 years, and I'm just starting out, and I'm just like, wow, like I comparison is the greatest thief of joy. So I compare myself to other people that way, and I'm like, okay, I need to just settle down, just stay in my lane, do what I do.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I as an agency owner, I remember comparing myself to other agencies and what they're doing, and it distracts you from your business. And so you have to really try to make your plans and see if they work, follow through with them, and hopefully, they work.
Yeah, 100%.
If not, you change again.
Yeah, you work your plan, you plan your work, and you get going. So,
all right, great. So now let's talk about the nuts and bolts. What's one part of your day-to-day operation that feels way harder than it should?
Man, so before I had a process and a system, it was pretty fortunate that we've gotten some decent tech stuff going and things like that. But it took forever to figure those things out. Just communicating, literally just communicating to insureds, people don't want to talk on the phone. And so having a system in place just to text and doing those type of things. So, I mean, it was that in the beginning was stressful. Now that we've kind of gotten some things worked out, it's been a little more efficient, which is it's been kind of nice. So, but I mean, in the beginning, just literally everything, everything
Yeah,
was
well,
difficult.
and you're taking over someone else's agency, so it's not necessarily going to be the processes that that you want to do.
Right.
I know when you're taking over someone's agency, and they may not want to be as technologically advanced as you, or
Yes.
maybe they just didn't feel comfortable doing it. So then you're starting basically from scratch with those processes and building
100%.
them to integrate with your with your systems that you're actually using, your farmer system and whatever system you have.
Yeah,
I hear
and so I apologize. So
no, go ahead.
Farmers is a tremendous company, great brand recognition. They're a heavy hitter in the space, but where they lack those sometimes is that the technology portion of things it can be a little behind the times. I mean, because they're a larger company, it's slower to move. So like, the CRM system's a little clunky at times, trying to figure those things out. It's not as user friendly, so that's, those are some of the challenges that we've dealt with for sure.
Yeah, and that's really frustrating. I mean, it affects everything, every part of your day. It inconveniences you. It affects your time.
Yes.
And the client experience, because you're trying to get back to someone in a a good time frame, as soon as you can. And when the system stopped working, it makes it so hard. It slows our process down, and it impacts everything that we're doing. So, and so much frustration.
Yeah, 100%. The biggest thing, it's super frustrating. Technology is great until it doesn't work, and then you're like, why? What's going on?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I know insurance, but the technology part,
right.
I'm usually pretty good with systems, but the hardware, no, and insurance, yes. So,
Yep, I agree.
So, what type of things have you implemented in your processes? Tell us some things that you did that you feel are working.
So the previous agent wasn't focused on growth nearly as much as what I want to be. I definitely want to grow our agency. I want to get more policies in force. I want to attack the space. So getting a process for getting business was hard. Working data leads. Data leads suck. We all know that. They really suck if you don't commit to them and you don't work them the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, there's so many things in the systems that it can do, but it's overwhelming. And, you want to make sure that you find those parts of your system that, that can help you. So,
100%.
And discover those things. Cause I know I was on, applied systems for probably, I would say 15, 20 years. And then I joined it was a member group, I guess, gave you more companies. So I had to switch to the AMS.
Yeah.
So, I learned a ton about applied systems, and then starting to learn about AMS and how I can, integrate that into the processes that I had, because it's a different systems, even though they're similar.
Right. So the first thing that I did is I got my own CRM. I want to own my own data. I want to own my own information. I knew that was important right out the gates, that, if Farmers and I ever decided to part ways, I wanted to have access to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You want your client list if you, as long, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't plan on going anywhere. I really do love Farmers. I think it's a tremendous company, and we're super competitive right now. So that's been great. I've been able to sell business, which has been amazing. So
yeah, that makes it very difficult, because the company, I mean, I was an independent agent, and the companies fluctuate. I mean,
100%.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I got to move that whole book of business somewhere else, and that's,
it's frustrating.
So you have to actually look for more, different ways to help, whether it's, deductible increase or, just trying to figure out, what else you can do, what other credits are there. But the most important thing is protecting their assets.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what we all get into this business for. The chase for the business is always great, things like that. I think, at least for me, like when I found my why I did insurance, because at first, let's be honest, it was a job. I came into the business and, they hired me. I left a pretty long standing career and tenure, couldn't find a job anywhere. So I was very fortunate that I had somebody in this space, in the insurance space, that said, hey, come check it out, see what you think. And once I plugged my why into insurance, because my why has always been about having an exceptional experience for my guest as a restaurateur. Like I wanted my guests to have an exceptional experience when they came to my restaurant. Once I applied that to insurance and my agency, I mean, it was like something changed. Because then there was a why behind why we were selling insurance and why we were doing what we were doing and protecting people's assets and making sure they have the coverages that they need and they have a great experience when they become one of our clients and our customers. So that, so once all that kind of started clicking and you put things together, you're like, okay, there we go. Now I really love the space. So I love insurance. So,
well, I've loved it. Still do. Do you focus more on personal lines or commercial lines?
So right now it's been a lot of personal line stuff. I knew that was going to be as farmers. That's our base. Farmers is a personal lines company for the majority of stuff. We are diversifying. We're in the business in commercial side a lot more life insurance. So we've got an update on our platform coming very soon. I'm hoping by the end of this month, actually. So super excited about that. But I mean, our history, we're a personal lines company. And so my agency has traditionally been that. So now that I have a firm foundation on how we're going after that business, how we're going to service those clients and those customers, we're getting ready to shift. If not, I'm spending the next quarter of the year really figuring out the nuances, finding our the appetite that we want to go after, where I can be knowledgeable and I can actually, as an agent, present something to somebody that I feel good about. I don't want to just sell a policy that I don't know anything about.
No, so important to know your client, because if you don't really spend the time, even if you collect your information digitally, at some point you need to speak to these people and really make sure that you're not missing something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I love the digital world. I love to connect the information, gather the information that way, because that way we're knowing that, they're putting it in. They're not misspelling their name or their address or the VIN number. Well, maybe the VIN number, I would double check that. But, it's a different process. Humans make mistakes. So if we can, put that on, and then get a copy of their policy. So,
yeah.
But so what are you doing digitally, AI in your agency so far? Have you implemented any of those? They're saying it's going to take over.
Yeah, right. So I have the gentleman that I got my website through and set up my automation, my CRM and all that stuff for me. He always had a saying, or still does. I mean, he has a saying that AI is not coming for your job. It's the people that could utilize AI properly. They're coming for your job, because that's what it's about. So yeah, we use AI in our office pretty regularly. So I use ChatGPT for a lot of stuff, just to maybe it's a better way of saying something to a client,
or just
a better
to make
way
sure
to
that your
explain it.
grammar is right.
Correct. Yes.
I remember taking English, but
right. Exactly. Right. I was more math. I wasn't the English guy.
I was an excellent math student.
Yes,
excellent.
Exactly. But no, but yeah, so we and then our CRM system, we have all our workflows that are in there, so we have automated text going out and email
great.
systems. So we've got all these things, and then it also gives my producers, they have their own voice as well. So for the people that they're working, they have their own text messages, and we follow the same cadence, but I give them that freedom to say, hey, I want it to sound like you. People are buying from you. So, and that's why they're doing business with us, is because of you. I don't want it to sound like me. They may not like me. So
no, absolutely. Absolutely. You want them to, be themselves. That's what we
100%.
should all be ourselves, because that's, that's our genuine, and that's where we need to, that's how we need to be as humans. We need to be genuine and not worried. Just show yourself.
Yeah. And so we've got so we use that stuff. We do have an automated an AI that answers text messages for us, the basic stuff, things like that. We are able to give her a whole personality and all that good stuff.
Very cool.
So she's able to respond in that personality and not sound like a robot. So that's a lot of fun.
So when chat, I think it's 5 now, came out, I was asking it questions and it was talking back to me. And my sister was sitting next to me. She goes, "Who are you talking to? Who is that person on the phone?" And so anyway, when I finished talking, I got off. I said, "No, that was not a person.
It's
That
crazy.
So
it's nuts.
Now you can make your own voice. You could make your own voice in that.
Yeah. It's insane. Like it's crazy. I haven't done a lot of that stuff yet.
No.
I've been playing around with the idea of automated emails going out, like a video going out and things like that. Not there yet. Not quite comfortable with that yet, but we'll see. Yeah, maybe in the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The lead generation or retention to, make sure that you're setting up something that you're, very limited touch, but you're, reaching out to your clients or you're reaching out to those new business prospects that, maybe didn't answer the first time, but maybe will answer on email 6 or text message 6 or 5 or whatever is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that's great. For being a new in this industry, embracing the technology is going to be huge for you. And especially the way AI is exploding and implementing AI into different workflows and using it responsibly.
Correct.
This is a way we can use it responsibly. We can give more time back to our employees to have a less crazy day.
Right.
A more, thoughtful day where you can spend the time with your clients, really learning about what they need and upselling if there's an opportunity. Because I know a lot of employees, they're just so overwhelmed with what is on their plate. We always said, well, your job's never done. You can never finish everything. And even if you really thought you could finish it all, in about 10 minutes, you're going to have about 15 emails.
Yeah, 100%.
So, if we could give a little bit of balance back to them, even in workplace and not seeing them work, I had employees and I would tell them to stop it, but they would be up in the middle of the night because they would wake up and I'd say, "Stop. I don't want you doing that." And they're like, "But I can't get my work done." And, we would try to, you try to hire new people, but it always does, it doesn't work. So if we can find that way with technology and AI, it's going to be great for them too. And no one has to lose their job. They just they'll have a better job.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. And that's where we strive for that. And as owners of a business, we walk that balance of how do we implement things that our team can use that's going to make them more efficient, make them be able to spend more time on the phone with somebody, finding out about them, and making sure they have the proper coverages that they need without it just being, okay, well, I've got 50 other calls I got to make. Like, you could get some of that done without doing all of that so that you can spend more time, because I'm a firm believer when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever the out time is, when it's done, you're done. Go home, enjoy your family, enjoy everything away from here. Because when you come back, I'm going to monopolize that time because you're here with me. So,
and I think that's a great way. And I think that's a great leader because I did that with my own employees. I just didn't do it with myself.
Sure. I was here till almost 9 o'clock last night. So I get it.
See.
Last one in, first one out. Or flip
absolutely.
that. Flip that. Last one out, first one in.
Yeah. When my father owned the agency, he always said that you have got to be the first one in and you have to be the last one out. And I'm like, all right, I got it.
That's the tone.
Yeah. And service was like number one thing in our agency. I wanted to write new business, but my clients that I currently had were number one. And I think that's number one area of being a successful insurance professional and advisor.
I agree. I 100% agree. And that's why, so in our agency, we've kind of split those duties up and those tasks up as our producers and why I wanted to have their own voice, because they're the ones connecting with those customers, not necessarily me. I think my job is to make the phone rings. I'm your marketer. I'm out there. I want to bring business into the agency for my producers so that A, they make money and they don't leave me, and B, the agency grows. So we spend a lot of time with that, and I spend a lot of my focus of like, how do I market for our business? How do I bring referrals and things like that? I make a great connection, but whenever I do, I always make sure that I have one of my account managers, one of my producers with me and working with them so that they have that connection as well, so that I can still focus on growing, but they still have someone that they're connected with in the agency.
No, that's very important. And you need to run the business. You need to, you want to do the insurance part too, of course, but you also have that other responsibility. And you want your producers to be successful, because the more successful they are, the happier they're going to be.
Yep.
And the longer they'll stay, because it's really difficult to find the right producer.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So if you find them, you want to make sure that they're happy.
Hold on, don't let go.
Absolutely. And the same thing with the account managers. You don't know until you get them in the seat, and the training is so important when someone comes in. And I find that a lot of places, they don't spend that time on the training. They say, okay, here you go.
As an owner, as a leader, I always make sure that if somebody's not working out, I always hold the mirror up first and say, have I done everything I can do to make this person successful? Is it a don't know or don't care? Do they not know what they're supposed to do, or do they just not care about what they're doing?
Are they afraid to ask me questions? Do I need to tell them that they can ask me every question that they have? Because
exactly.
When I started, I asked my mentor every question I had. He probably was,
yeah,
tired of me after a while. I was thinking, oh my God. But, he was there for me.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. So, but I think I've been fortunate. Again, like I said, I'm a little older starting in the business, but I also came with a clean slate. I didn't know any old ways or anything like that. So I could embrace the technology really quickly because I didn't know any better. I didn't have a way that I used to do things, or we used to do it this way. It was all fresh, which was great, so it was difficult, but it was great to have that. So I've spent a lot of time just embracing different technologies and trying to utilize it the best to make us all successful here in the agency.
Yeah, and it's so important. I mean, in 1993, when I started, that was the first thing I did. My father, who owned an agency, he only had a rating system, and it was just this little computer on the side, and they had typewriters and whatever. And so I brought in a whole network. We had a whole network, and we basically started inputting all the information on the renewal. And, it helped my business so much. And I didn't lose any employees. It certainly helped our processes, just getting an ID card out. You didn't have to type it. It just transferred the information into the form. Oh my God. So if that was back in 1993, here we are in 2025, and, things are really exciting in technology right now.
Oh yeah.
And
there's so much out there.
And what's going to be possible, and what is changing so fast. Even with that chat from ChatGPT to 4 to 5, I immediately saw the difference in how it operated.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. I agree with that. It's just, I was chatting with it early on after the 5 came out, and I was chatting with it, and I said something, I can't remember what it was, and then it researched me and then started responding back to me about my business and different things like that I hadn't put in there. Like, it was learning as we were talking. It was crazy. It was very eye-opening to be like, oh man, this thing's nuts. Like, it's going to change stuff.
It's remembering. It remembers a lot. I mean, it's not perfect yet, but it's really amazing. It remembers basically what you put in before. So then it pulls everything over. Now it's pulling over my business name, my address, my logo. So, and then it asks you, well, do you want me to do this? And you're like, that's a great idea.
That sounds great. Yes, I do.
Yeah, I want to see what that looks like, please.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in your agency tomorrow, what do you think it would be?
One thing to fix in the agency. Right now, I think probably what I'm focused on more than anything is developing SOPs for my new hires and things like that. And there's a lot of different tech solutions out there to SOP, or like using Scribe to video record a certain process, things like that. So it's not necessarily fix because it's kind of there, but if I could wave a wand and that was done right now, like that would be really nice. So if I could like, okay, we're good,
Yeah,
it's done. I
'cause
don't have to put the work in. So
yeah, and it takes a lot of time, to record and go through the process of, adding a client,
yes,
you know, adding the information. How do I print it? How do I email it? All those
right.
things. So, you do short, like 3-minute videos of, each section process. Hopefully that's going to be, I think that's going to be fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So
And
that's
again,
the
it's identifying that tool, whatever that best tool is for you to use, in order to do that. And, Scribe, or I don't know, some of the other ones, like Loom, I think is another
Loom.
one.
And when I said Scribe, I meant Loom. I just downloaded Loom and been playing around on that one recently. So trying to figure out, like I said, I've got somebody starting next, and my goal is to hire next year is to hire 2 to 3 more. That's kind of my goal, as long as I can afford it, obviously. So I need the growth to support that, but I'm putting it in the atmosphere, so I'm willing it to happen. So yeah, so that I know I can't let that monopolize my time. So I got to have a process to bring them on, to make sure we're onboarding and they're successful quickly,
Right.
because that's
Because
if they come on and they don't make any money for 2-3 months because they're still learning and they don't know how to do this or that. And so I'm trying to eliminate those obstacles for them so they make money quicker, they're happier, and then they tell their friends or whoever, and that just helps grow the agent well.
yeah, it's going to grow the agency, because if everyone finds out, oh my God, everyone's so happy working there. Well,
Right.
then it's going to be a happy place to do business with too.
Exactly. So,
Yeah,
so
that's
just
exciting.
yeah,
That's exciting.
it's fun.
Yeah, and by not doing that, and videoing these processes, it's going to cost you money, because if they're not trained properly, you're going to end up losing that person, or they're not going to do the job that you need them to do. It could be your fault, or it could be their fault, or it could be a little of both. But that's so important. It's important for the employee morale and the client experience.
Yeah, 100%. Because I want to make sure that we can replicate what we're currently doing for every client and guest that, or guest, I say guest, restaurant stuff, every customer that we get. We need to be able to replicate what we do and have a process for it so that each one of them gets the same experience. It doesn't matter if they talk to me, Jim, Sally, Sue, whoever, it's the same experience, the same process. So it's about consistency.
Yeah, well, I think that's going to make you very successful, because I think that that's one of the areas where a lot of agencies might have difficulty. We're too busy. A friend of mine said we need to slow down to speed up. So, you know, and you should eat the frog, which means you should do the hardest thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Frog in the morning. It's a book. And when you need to do your scribe video is when you first come in, even though we'd probably like to look at our email first, but
Sure.
eat the frog first.
I start diving in on things I don't need to be doing in the morning. That's for sure. So I need to get more focused.
Well, and I make a list, I make a task list, but sometimes it just, I'm moving it to the next day, and then I'm like, oh no.
You just
So
move it and make it too easy to move them over.
yeah, it makes it very easy to move them over. Let me just
Yeah.
slot that for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Philip, for pulling back the curtain and letting us see what's really happening in your agency. Do you have any words of wisdom to send us off with?
Man, I say it a lot, is it's kind of like you mentioned, you got to eat the frog. Is just put your head down and work. Like, no one cares about your excuses. No one cares about what's going on. And a lot of times it's not about what have you done for me in the past. It's what are you doing for me right now. And you just got to put your head down and work. If you want to be successful in life, that's what I've always taught my kids, is you got to work hard and good things will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Success does not come if you don't work hard, you don't have the grit, you just gotta, you're right. Just put your head down and keep working.
Yeah, 100%. Yep, I agree with that wholeheartedly. The harder I work, the luckier I get. So that's why that's my adage that I live by. So
Yep, absolutely. It's everyone has to. So,
yeah, right,
so you might as well do it well
right.
and be successful at it. So thank you again. I
Yes,
really
thank you.
appreciate this. And, for any other agency owners listening, you just heard how Phillip is going to map out his next step. Sometimes it's best, you can pick one thing, one process, map it out from start to finish and see where you can make it easier. So I can't wait to hear about Phillip's Scribe or Loom videos.
Right, yeah.
When they come out for his, his systems and teaching his employees. And, if you guys enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share it with another agency owner and message me because I would love to hear one workflow that you'd love to fix. And if you want to talk strategy for your own agency, book a free 30-minute call and we can talk about what your next chapter might look like. Phillip, I really, really appreciate your time. We had a little technical difficulty when we started out. So,
right.
you have been such a pleasure. And, always, if you need to pick my brain, insurance, please send me an email. No question is a dumb question. That is one of the things I told my employees. I always called them, my colleagues.
There you go. I'm ours just team members, so yeah, I'm with you.
Whenever I introduce them, they're my colleagues.
Yeah,
they're my team. They're my team, and we learn from each other.
Yep. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.